Hello guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. You are watching your commercial buddy, and today we are going to learn the chapter National Income Accounting, which is Unit 2 of Macroeconomic Syllabus of Semester 5 BCom Honors, Calcutta University. Okay, so National Income Accounting, this chapter will be coming, total questions of this chapter will be coming of 6 marks, right? It can come in the form of numerical national income, or it can come in the form of theory, whatever, or it can come in form of both, right? You might be given an option, like you want to attend the numerical part, you can attend, or if you want, you can attend the theoretical part, right? So whatever be it, we have to be prepared for both the parts, right? So without any further delay, let's get started. We are going to cover the syllabus or cover this particular unit, by discussing the following questions which are kept in front of you. I hope you can see it clearly. You can note them down if you want, or else I will discuss each of them. Okay. So this was our questions. First question is, what do you mean by national income? So basically we have to define national income. For that purpose, national income of a country can be defined into two terms, right? First is amount of goods and services produced in a particular period of time, right? In a particular period of time, say for 1 year, the total amount of goods and services produced in a country or within the economic territory, right? The second point, as I told, produced within the economic territory or produced by residents, right? So produced within the economic territory, as it is written in a very simple language, you can understand. Within the economic territory of a country may be defined as the states and the geographical territory of any country, right? And produced by residents. Now this word resident has a broad range of meaning in economic, right? The word resident can be defined as those person whose center of economic interest lies within the country, right? Center of economic interest, what this phrase means is that the person either earns from this country and saves in this country, or the person earns from any other place but saves in this particular country, right? He or she may be defined as resident of this country. Now, in order to include a particular income as national income, it has to be produced within the economic territory or by residents, produced by residents, right? So these two incomes can be included in national income. Okay, so this was our definition of national income. Let's proceed to the next question. So in the next question, we are asked to define nominal GDP and real GDP, right? So as we all know, GDP is gross domestic product. It is also the synonym for national income, right? So we are not going to discuss GDP here. For GDP, you may see my previous video. I explained briefly there. So real GDP, what is real GDP? Total value of current year's production at base year's price, right? Total value of current year's production at base year's price. Now, what do we understand from this definition? We understand that for forming out the real GDP, there should be a previous year production, there should be a current year production, there should be a previous year or base year price, and there should be a current year price, right? So the four things should be given to us. At least these four things should be given to us, so that we can count out the real GDP, right? And what is nominal GDP? Nominal GDP is the current year's production at current year's price. Okay, so current year's production at current year's price is nominal GDP, and current year's production at base year's price. Okay, so in order to understand, I gave you an example, right? So this is production of the previous year, and this is production. This is price of previous year, and this is production of current year, and this is suppose price of current year. Okay. So from here, if we want to calculate real GDP, we can calculate like this is current. We know that real GDP can be calculated by current year's production at base year's price, right? So current year's production from this example we can see is 12,000 units, and base year's price is suppose 100 rupees, right? So 12,000 production units into rupees 100 equals to 12 lakh. It is the real GDP. Similarly, nominal GDP is the current year's production at current year's price, right? So current year's production is, we can see 12,000 units, and current year's price is 150 rupees, right? So multiplying these two, we can get our nominal GDP. Okay, so this was our real GDP and nominal GDP. So in the next question, we are asked to define implicit GDP deflator, right? So what is implicit GDP deflator? The definition I have written down, you can see ratio of the value of goods and services produced by an economy in a particular year at current prices to that of the prices prevailed in the base year, right? So it is basically a ratio between nominal GDP and real GDP. In the previous, let me clarify you with an example. In the previous question, I took out real GDP as 12 lakh and nominal GDP as 18 lakh. How I calculated, if you recall, I multiplied the current year's production with base year's prices to calculate real GDP, and current year's production with current year's prices to calculate nominal GDP, right? Now, implicit GDP deflator, it is basically a measure of inflation, right? Economists use this implicit GDP deflator to calculate rate of inflation or deflation, right? So that is not our concern. Our concern right now is how to calculate GDP deflator. So as I said, GDP deflator is basically nominal GDP by real GDP into 100, right? Or nominal GDP as a percentage of real GDP, right? So in nominal GDP we take the price effect, and in real GDP we ignore the price effect, right? So if we see our previous video example is our previous question example, in that case our GDP deflator will be 12 lakh by 18 lakh into 100, right? It will be somewhat 66.67%, right? So this is our GDP deflator. Okay, these are small concepts. This will be coming in form of 3 marks question or 2 marks question, like this. Okay, so in the next question we are going to explain the circular flow of income in two sector economy, right? Circular flow of income in two sector economy. Now before explaining that, we are going for certain assumptions. The first assumption being that there are only two sectors in the economy, right? The households and the firm. Okay, so the households provide factor services to the firms, and what they expend, right? What they spend, we will name that spending as consumption expenditure. Okay, and the second sector is farms, right? So farms provide factor payments to the households, and in turn they produce goods and services. Okay, and second assumption is the economy we are going to talk about is a closed economy. That means there is no export or import from foreign countries. Okay, third assumption being no government intervention, right? The government does not poke its nose into the matters of households and firms. They mutually work with each other, and the government will not intervene in between, right? And the fourth assumption is no savings. Okay, so firms, neither the firms nor the households are going to save anything they earn, right? And they are going to spend all the earned money. Now, keeping in mind all these assumptions, let's proceed further. So, drawn in front of you is the circular flow of income in two-sector economy, right? You can see there are two sectors, households and the firms, right? First, what happens? The households provide factor services to the firms, right? What are those factor services? Those factor services include land, labor, and capital, right? And in turn, the firms provide goods and services to the households, right? Goods and services to the households. And the second stage is the households spend money to buy those goods and services, right? And those expenditures are termed as consumption expenditure, and in turn firms provide factor payments to the households, right? So basically, now from the start I am explaining again. The households first provide factor services to the firms. That means they provide it with land, labor, and capital. In return, the firms give some payment to the households, right? Now the households have money, right? And with those money, the households, what they do, they spend those money to buy the products produced by firms, which the spending is termed as consumption expenditure, and the firms in return provide goods and services to the households, right? So this cycle continues in a two-sector economy, and this is what we call circular flow of income in two-sector economy. Okay, and there is also a part known as circular flow of income in four-sector economy, which is the actual flow of income, right? This is just a hypothetical example. This does not occur actually. This theory is wrong, but that doesn't matter because this is in our syllabus. Okay, if we go further into competitive exams like UPSC, CSE, or WBCS, then we have to study this circular flow of income in four-sector economy. Okay, so let me explain this into theoretical. Let me explain this theoretically. For that purpose, now what actually happens is, here it is assumed that firms purchase different factors of production from the households to produce goods and services. Okay, households get money as income from the firms in exchange of those factors of production, right? Now this money is the income of the households but expenditure of the firms. In this way, a flow of money takes place from the firms to the households due to purchase of factors of production. This money again flow into the firms from the households when the households spend this income to purchase goods and services. This money is the expenditure of the households but income of the firms, right? Previously that was expenditure of the firms but income of the households. Now this money is the expenditure of the households but income of the firms. In this way, another flow of money takes place from the household to the firms due to purchase of goods and services. This means that the amount of money which is spent by the firms to purchase factors of production, that money came back to the firm through sale of produced goods and services. This is called circular flow of income. Okay, so this was basically a bookish definition, not definition, it was a bookish explanation that I spoke just now. You can note them down if you want, or else you can always explain in your own words, right? Whatever you do, just make sure to do it perfectly so that the examiner won't be able to cut off any marks, right? Now, before proceeding to the final part of this chapter, which are national income numericals, which we studied earlier in our class 12, we are going to learn few concepts of this chapter, few concepts of the national income, right? So the first concept being GNI or gross national income. It is the total amount of money earned by a nation's people and business, right? Total money earned by a nation's people and business in a particular year. It includes nation's GDP plus the income it receives from overseas, right? So, and it is also known as gross national product or GNP. So GNI and GNP are the same, don't get confused in the exam. Okay, so let me repeat again. So gross national income or gross national product, it is the total amount of money earned by a nation's people and business, and it includes nation's GDP plus the income it receives from overseas, right? Next, we are going to discuss net national income. Right, net national income. I previously explained the concept of gross national income, and basically, if you subtract the depreciation from gross national income, it becomes the net national income. Right. This is a concept. Like if you subtract depreciation from a gross amount, it becomes net amount, and similarly, if you add depreciation from the net, it becomes gross, right? So this was it. Next concept is money national income. So money national income may be defined as total amount received by multiplying the amount of goods and services produced by an economy in a particular period of time, generally 1 year, by the prices of those goods and services, right? So basically it is nothing but the amount or unit of goods and services produced in an economy, and when we multiply that amount with its respective prices, it becomes money national income, right? So this is basically a nominal concept, right? Because it takes price effect into account. Next we are going to discuss real national income. So the next question, or the next topic we are going to discuss is real national income. So what is real national income? When the national income of a country is calculated for different years using price of a particular year or base year, right? I previously explained you what is nominal, you know, what is nominal GDP and real GDP. Similarly, in this case also, when national income of a country for various years, right? For example, 2012, 13, 14, 15, in those all those years, the total production, right? To the unit or total units of production is multiplied with the base year price of particular base year price. If it is done so, then it is called real those products will be called real national income. Okay, so basically it is income, the national income of a country calculated for different years using price of a particular or base year. Okay, next comes gross national product or GNP. Now what is GNP? The aggregate money value of amount of goods and services produced in a particular period of time on any country, right? So it is GNP is money value. Now this particular thing we are able to understand. Now aggregate money value of amount of goods and services produced in a particular period of time of any country, right? So all those goods and services which are produced in a period of time of any country, the value of those goods or the monetary value of those goods is termed as gross national product, right? And next comes net national product. Basically, I told you earlier that any gross value less depreciation is its net value, right? So basically net national product is GNP minus depreciation. Okay, next is real GNP. Now real GNP, similarly all the real concepts are same, right? In any real concept, whenever you see the term real, you should presume that it is the value of many different years calculated on the basis of a particular year or base year, right? So in this case also, GNP calculated for different years on the basis of price of a particular year or base year, right? So this is GNP. Okay, in GNP, what is GNP? GNP, I told you, amount of goods and services produced in a particular period of time, or money value of goods and services produced in a particular period of time. And that value, if you calculate on the basis of a particular year or base year, then it is called real GNP or real gross national product. Okay, so these are pretty simple concepts. Next, we are going to discuss gross domestic product. Now, what is gross domestic product? This is the most important concept while discussing the national income, right? So, gross domestic product is basically amount of goods and services produced in a particular year within the economic territory of a country, right? So, amount of goods and services produced in a particular year, we can understand it is the money value, right? Money value. And within the economic territory, now economic territory of a country is basically the geographical territory of a country, right? So all those products produced, goods and services produced in a particular year within the economic territory of a country is termed as gross domestic product of country, right? The formula of GDP is GNP minus NFIA, or net factor income from abroad. And next, and the last concept is NDP, or net domestic product. Now, I told you earlier that when you subtract depreciation from any gross amount, then that amount formed is can be termed as net amount, right? So in this case also, net domestic product equals GDP minus depreciation. Okay. So this was all the concepts of national income. Next, we are gonna do some practical problems of national income. Before doing national income or proceeding for numerical part of national income, we require certain formulae, right? So these are the formulas with the help of which we are going to solve the national income problems. I will recommend that you note them down because you won't find them in any textbook which is for our 5th semester, right? You can find them in CBSE board economics book, macroeconomics book. I noted them down from there only. So these are the formulae we are going to use. There are few more. Okay, so this part in the black color is the formula for national income. Okay, these are very important to remember, for you to remember. Otherwise, you have to leave the 6 marks question if it comes in the exam, right? So this is our first question we are going to do for calculating the national income. In fact, this question tells us to calculate national income, right? Please note down the question if you want. I hope you have noted it down. Now, I am going to solve this question, right? You just see first few questions, let me solve, and then you shall try with me, right? So we are going to calculate national income, and national income is nothing but NNPFC, right? National income or NNPFC, or net national product at factor cost. Whenever you are told to calculate national income, you will automatically understand that you are required to calculate net national product at factor cost, right? So for that, if you check the question, we have been given GDP at market prices, or gross domestic product at market prices. So we are going to start from that right. So NNPFC equals GDPMP less depreciation plus NFIA less net indirect taxes plus subsidies. Right, this subsidies part most of us do wrong. Even I don't know why subsidies came here, but still, if you follow the formula part, you will see that GDPMP, right? In order to convert NNPFC into GDPMP into NNPFC, first we have to convert market prices into factor cost. Now, in order to convert market prices into factor cost, we basically subtract indirect taxes from the amount, right? So here you can see I subtracted net indirect taxes. So, and for that again we have to convert this gross part into net part, right? So for that what we did is we subtracted the depreciation from the amount, right? Next we have to convert this domestic part into national part, right? For that purpose we have to add this NFIA part, right? Net factor income from abroad, right? And the last one is subsidies part, right? So subsidies is basically an additional part. I don't know where it came from, but you can say it came out of nowhere, right? Now I am sorry, I cannot say where subsidies came from, but it just came, right? I can say even I am teaching now, so I can say that it came out of nowhere, but it is my responsibility to explain from where this part came from. Now, basically we are going to replace the amount of those factors, right? So GDPMP is 900 less depreciation is 100 plus NFIA is minus 20 less net indirect taxes is minus 125 plus subsidies is 20. So 900 minus 100. So all these operations, after you do it, it will come out to be 655 plus 20 crore equals to 675 crore. So this is our national income. Okay, so this was it. Next we proceed to question number 2, where we have been asked to calculate operating surplus and GNPMP, right? So first we have to calculate operating surplus, then we are going to calculate GNPMP. Now there is a certain part in this question I want you to notice, that we cannot calculate GNPMP directly, right? For that purpose we have to calculate NDPFC first. Now I will show you that. Let's first calculate this operating surplus. Now operating surplus, we know the formula is wages plus interest plus profit. Basically every form of income that a person can have, right? So we have not been given wages, we have been given wages and salaries, right? So if this is wages and salaries, we have to exclude that, right? Only wages we will include in operating surplus, but whenever it is said wages and salaries, we will exclude that from OS, right? That cannot be used to calculate operating surplus. So in place of wages we are going to take two things, right? First is royalty and the second one is rent. these two are equivalent to wages, right? So these two are given to a person when the work is done, right? When the work is done, unlike salaries where even if you don't you go to work for a certain day, right, the salary will be given, it cannot be deducted as like such. So we are only to calculate wages or factor payments, right? And then we have interest given in the question, and then profit. We write down the amount. Royalty is 20 rupees, rent is 30, sorry, not rupees, crores. Interest is 150 crores, and profit is 120 crores. Adding this, we get our operating surplus as 320 crores. Here calculate is not much difficult, but what is difficult is memorizing the formulas, right? For memorizing the formulae and determining what will come after what. Now we are going to calculate GNP/NP, right? For that purpose we cannot calculate GNP/NP directly from the given data. For that purpose we have to calculate NDPFC first. Now NDPFC, we know that it is COE plus OS plus MI, right? NDPFC, or net domestic factor, net domestic product at factor cost, it is COE plus OS plus MI. Compensation of employees plus operating surplus plus mixed income. COE is equals to employers' contribution to social security schemes plus wages and salaries OS. We have already calculated it to be 320 crore, and mixed income we have not been given, right? Nil. So adding these three, we can see from the question that this part, this employer's contribution part is rupees 50 crores. So basically 50 plus 320, okay. So this part is 50, and wages and salaries is 350. Okay, 350, and this is 50. So 50 plus 350 equals to 400 crores. This is our COE, right? And NDPFC is COE plus OS plus MI, where MI is nil. So NDPFC turns out to be 400 plus 320 crore equals to 720 crore, right? Next we are going to find out the GNP/NP, right? Now for finding out GNP/NP, we needed NDPFC. We have already calculated that, right? So GNP/NP, how we can calculate GNP/NP from NDPFC, we will find out. Basically, NDPFC, first we have to convert this factor cost into market price, right? Factor for converting factor cost into market price, we add indirect taxes, right? Next we are going to convert this net part into gross part. For that purpose, for converting net into gross, we add depreciation, right? And for converting this domestic into national, we add NFIA, right? And after that, we have to subtract subsidy. right? So this is it. We set all the amounts. We will replace all the amounts. 720 plus 90 plus 30 minus 10 and minus 30, which turns out to be 800 crores. So 800 crores is our gross national product at market price, right? So this is our next question. We have been told to calculate national income and compensation of employees, right? National income and compensation of employees. Now we are going to calculate. We are going to see how to calculate. For that purpose, I wish you note down the question so that we can, continue. So first we are going to calculate national income or NNPFC. Now, in order to calculate this NNPFC, we cannot calculate it directly, right? We cannot calculate it directly. If we see, look in the question, we have been given NDPMP, right? So it becomes pretty easy from here. NDP, sorry, yeah, NDPMP. Now we have to convert it into NNPFC, right? So NNPFC equals, first we have to convert this market price into factor cost. For that, we know that how to calculate market price into factor cost. We subtract the indirect taxes, NDPMP minus indirect taxes. Then what we do, this domestic part we have to calculate, we have to convert into national part, right? So converting domestic into national, we add NFIA, right? So it basically does it. NDPMP we have been given 50 rupees, sorry 50 crores minus indirect taxes, we subtract 50 crores, right? And here we get our, oh I am sorry, this NDPMP is 700 crores. So that means 650 crores is our NDPFC, right? This is our NDPFC. Now, sorry, this is our NNPFC. Now we have to calculate this compensation of employees, COE. We know the formula of compensation employees, which is wages and salaries plus contribution to social schemes plus bonus, right? I'm sorry, here I forgot to, that is what I was thinking, that somewhere something is wrong here. So we have not added the NFIA part. So NFIA part I added. NFIA is 5 crores, so it becomes 655 crores, right? It becomes 655 crores. Oh, one more thing, we have to add subsidies here. I'm sorry, subsidies, and it becomes 660 crores. 660 crores. Now compensation of employee part, this wages and salaries plus contribution to social schemes plus bonus, right? These three things will be added to compensation of employees. Now we have to replace with the values of those concepts, and 400 plus 20 plus 40, and it becomes 460 crores. This is our compensation of employees. Okay, so this was all for this chapter. We have basically covered our macroeconomic syllabus, right? You can solve more and more problems. I am not putting it anymore. If you want me to solve more of these national income numerical problems, then you can comment down. I will do so. Okay. Thank you for watching.